Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for American Animals. And of course, what American Animals is essentially about is we center on these two characters who are college kids, and basically they make this plan because their library holds a lot of books that are very rare. So they kind of make this plan where they're going to try to steal this art basically for their own use and see what they can really do with it, and we kind of see the struggle they have throughout the film, and that's really all I'm going to say. So American Animals in general, I was really looking forward to this movie. The trailer very much intrigued me. It looked like a really, just very suspenseful heist film. It had some actors I very much do respect. I didn't really know too much about this story, and that's something I usually really like when going into biopics, stories that I am unfamiliar with, but do start to really get pretty engrossed in. Unfortunately, though, American Animals in general is a very messy film. This is a film that is biting off way more than it can possibly chew, and we're going to get into right now, starting off with the cast. And like I said, going in this film, that was one of the things I was very much looking forward to. I think the cast here is really great. There are many actors here I very much do respect. Let's first talk about Evan Peters, who, what can I say about this guy that I haven't already? He's one of the best character actors, I think, working today, and this performance is no exception. This character of Warren, who is someone who is just so adamant about doing this, and to me, it seems like the reason he wanted to do it is because of the fact that he wants to make some kind of an impact on the world. He really wants to make his mark, and I think he does a really good job with that. Peters is very, very good in this role. You can see how demanding he is. You can see how he's not really letting anything get in his way, and he shines especially in scenes where things really aren't going right for him and everything is on the line, and you can just see how, you know, how frantic he is and how, again, just how determined he is to really pull this off, and I think he just did an incredible job in this movie. Peters continues to show why he is such a fantastic actor, and this performance is no exception. He did an incredible job here. And then Barry Keegan, once again, I mean, nobody's talked about this guy killing a sacred deer. I thought he was fantastic, and just like Dunkirk and Killing of a Sacred Deer, he's great here. He does a really great job as this character, who throughout a lot of the film is very on the fence with this mission. There's a part of him that really wants to, you know, go along with this for Warren and things like that, but at the same time, he does have his morals, and you can see that the character Spencer that he's portraying, he's very conflicted, and he doesn't really know what side he's on, and I really did like seeing where he ends up going in this movie. I thought his journey was very well done. I thought him and Peter's chemistry easily was the best thing about this movie. They worked very well together, and I thought they both did a really great job here. I was very impressed with his role in this film. And then the rest of the cast here I thought also was really great. Blake Jenner in this movie, I really loved. Again, not enough people, I think, are giving him credit. I think he honestly is a really great actor. This is someone who, he really is looking at the negative consequences of what this can do to them, and I really did like where he ended up going in this film, particularly towards the end. He had some scenes that I thought were really great. You know, the other actor here, Jared Abrahamian, I think his name is, he also was really great. Udo Kerr and Dowd, of course, is fantastic. She's great in everything she does, but I think really everyone really did do a very good job here. I was very impressed by the cast overall. But now let's get to the directing and the writing, which I'm just going to get into right now. Easily, that is the biggest problem about this film. It is not the acting, it is not the story, it is definitely the directing and the writing, and I'll just say it right now. I have not seen Bart Layton's other film, The Imposter. I heard this is a very good documentary. I heard that it's very raw and very suspenseful and things like that, but unfortunately I have not seen it. And like I said, this movie, they make you think it's a biopic. They make you think this is, you know, this was a straight-up biopic, and that's what he was going for with some really great actors. And that's the thing that the trailer doesn't tell you, is that this movie is also a documentary. So, yeah, basically, we have two different structures going on here, and you can already tell how the tone very much does conflate with that. I mean, the biopic side of the movie is a really great crime drama that is telling a really good story, about these guys and, why they really wanted to pull off this heist and things like that. The documentary side is getting more into their insight and showing how regretful they are. And when you combine those two tones together, it just really doesn't work. You have one side of the film that's trying to be this heist film and is trying to get you to rationalize why they would do this. Then you have the other side of the film that, like I said, is trying to be this more sort of somber documentary, and it just left me very conflicted with how to really feel. So the directing right off the bat isn't that great. The writing, unfortunately, isn't really doing it any favors. And again, I'm going to talk about both the biopic and the documentary side, because my problem with this movie is, it wouldn't be as big as a problem if one of these halves of the film felt complete, but neither one of them really do, to be honest with you. Neither one of them, I feel like, get the most mileage they can out of these characters, and that's because we're constantly cutting back to the documentary side of things, or vice versa, and it just really didn't work for me. Right off the bat, we establish, who these characters are and things like that. But besides the fact that they go to this college and that these things are very rare, there really isn't much of a reason given for why they're going to pull off this heist. And like I said, I kind of came up with the idea that Evan Peters' character, even though it's not really a character, this is in fact a real guy, Warren, he just felt like he hadn't accomplished much, and he wanted to leave some sort of impact on the world, and this is how he was going to do that. But again, the film doesn't really get into that much. It's too focused on just the heist and them recruiting these guys and things like that. And these two guys they recruit, they just aren't very interesting. They're not necessarily, bad characters. They're not necessarily people you can't get much from, but they're just very back and forth. Blake Jenner's whole character is that he's just always negative. He always wants to get out of this. He's never really on board with it. You don't really understand why he'd want to do this in the first place. So, he's, like I said, is very negative in this film. And then Jared Abrahamson's character, he's just kind of like the other guy. They recruit him, they need a third guy, and that's why he's there. And they just didn't really do much of anything for me. Really, the thing holding this film together, like I said, are Evan Peters and Barry Keegan. I thought those two were really great in this film, and I think they did a really good job. But if they weren't in this film, I don't think I really would have enjoyed it at all, to be honest with you. I don't think I would have enjoyed this movie as much, because it just doesn't really know what to do with this story. Is it trying to tell a biopic, or is it trying to be sort of like a depiction? Because the documentary presents this as sort of like a, it does it as like a point of view thing, where this is like them recounting what happened, but they're not entirely sure if this is how it played out. The biopic portrays it as this is completely accurate, and that this is actually what happened. So, you understand what I mean when it says that it's very conflicted? Like, don't get me wrong, I've seen documentaries before where there are, like, reenactments and things like that. That's fine. I have no problem with them doing that, because I've seen it 1,000 times. This is like an extended thing. Like, these are not reenactments. These are legit scenes. Like, they're intercut with the documentary thing. And again, this would not be a problem if it was consistent, but it's not. There are so many long stretches in this movie where we barely get anything with the documentary thing. There were points where I was expecting them to cut back and see how they were feeling in that given moment, but they just don't. And to me, this whole thing feels like a last-minute decision. It feels like this was meant to be a biopic, and then somehow it turned into a documentary because of Bart Layton. He realized that he wanted to do a documentary. He didn't want to choose, which one he wanted to do, so he tried to do both, and it just simply did not work. And like I said, it's just very conflicted in that way, especially towards the end of the film, when the film provides us with some information about Warren's character that we really did not have throughout the rest of the film. It's trying to change a lot of what we thought of his character and a lot of how we felt about his previous actions in the movie. The problem is, it's the end of the film, and there just simply is not enough time given to process this revelation and really try to internalize it and understand why he could have done this thing, and that just really did not work for me. So, like I said, I just felt the writing was kind of all over the place, really, and a lot of the people we focus on, I didn't really get much of anything from. Like, there's this teacher they keep cutting back to, and he talks about how great of students they were, and how amazing they were, and I couldn't tell if this was supposed to be, like, sarcastic, or what they were really trying to do with him, but they keep cutting back to him. Every time one of these guys introduced, like, oh, they were a great student, oh, I never had any problems with them, but then you cut to the movie, and it's very contradictory in that sense, so I don't really know what they were trying to do with that. The parents didn't really do much of anything for me. So, yeah, the documentary portion of this film just didn't really do much. I don't really know why it's there. It doesn't add much of anything to the film. A lot of the time, it's not really given that much of focus, and again, the biopic part isn't really given that much of focus either, because we constantly cut back, and we're given a different, them recounting what we just saw in a different way. So it feels like the biopic is irrelevant. So really neither one of these works in that way, and I think that very much did deter from my enjoyment of the film. There were points in the film I was really into it. The heist sequence, for example, is fantastic. The way it's done, once it plays out, seeing what these guys did, it is actually a really well done sequence. It feels the most urgent. You do get that sense of, what's at stake here, and the weight of this situation. I think they did definitely do that very well. Unfortunately, the rest of the movie just isn't as good. Like I said, there are some very good scenes between Peters and Keegan, but that's because of how good of actors they are. But in terms of characters, I just did not really care that much about these guys, and they just did not really do a very good job, in my opinion, of presenting this story. The cinematography here, though, is really great. I do think this film is very well shot. There are some moments where it's very Tarantino-esque with, like, the split screen and things like that, and I really did enjoy it, and I think the style to this film was definitely really good. The score is great. I really love the soundtrack to this movie. A lot of really great, like, 60s and 70s songs that I really enjoyed. And the editing, like I said, again, huge problem with the film. It's very choppy. There are a lot of points where there will be, like, there'll be, like, long stretches where we don't see anything from the documentary aspect of the film, and the same with the biopic, and I couldn't really tell what they were trying to do. Were they trying to get us to, rationalize what these characters were doing? Were they trying to get us to understand their point of view? I really couldn't tell. It just did not really do much of anything for me, and just in general felt very disjointed. So, like I said, there are things I did enjoy about American Animals, but I just did not really enjoy it as a whole. I think Keegan and Peters are really the thing that anchor this film. If they were not in it, and Blake Jenner, he's very good too. I think all four of the guys really work very well together. Oh, also, I should mention Dowd is completely wasted in this film. As good as an actress as she is, she's completely wasted here. She really doesn't have much to do. There's only, like, really one scene where we cut back to the librarian and see, like, her thoughts in this whole situation, but it just really didn't do much for me. I don't understand why the documentary stuff is here. I think that was all, it all felt like a last-minute decision, because, again, none of that was in the trailer or anything, so that's not something you're going to expect going into the movie, and it does feel very jarring. Once they cut back to it, I was like, why are we doing this? Why am I seeing this footage? It really didn't work for me, and I don't really know why they've done it. It's something that I haven't seen before, and I'm sure it can work. Like, I'm a firm believer that even the dumbest concept can work with the right director, but this kind of story just simply did not work, and, for me, I don't really understand how it could work. A lot of people are comparing it to, like, I, Tonya and things like that with the documentary aspect of it, but I, Tonya, those were the real actors. This was the way of seeing their point of view and seeing, why, what she was feeling in that given moment. American Animals isn't really that way because, one, it's the real guys, and two, there's a lot of things that they'll say in the documentary that very much do contradict the biopic aspects of this film, and it just, in general, really did not work for me. So, like I said, not at all a bad movie, just something I really wanted a lot more from in the end, and I am going to give American Animals, overall, a C. But overall, guys, in my review of American Animals, let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall, left your thoughts. And like I said, I did enjoy some of this movie, but I just, in the end, really wanted a lot more from it. And it's some of the most confusing direction I think I've seen in a while. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.